And good evening from San Antonio, Texas. This is Matt Scherer, the author of LinkedIn for Military, and soon to come out with the third edition. I'm here tonight with my good friend and a colleague who I've talked to on the phone. I've done a lot of these video chats, but never met in person. But I consider him like, what they say in the Navy, like my shipmate in transition. Let me introduce you to my good friend, Gus Lawson. Good evening, Gus, and welcome to this webinar.
Great. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate the welcome. And yes, likewise, I consider you a shipmate as well. And I see a learning opportunity for myself here. What would the Air Force equivalent of shipmate be?
They don't have that kind of term yet. Okay, they just go buddy or pal. Okay, but not shipmate. I mean, I spent 2 years with the Navy, and I loved it when you get to know them and they go, "Oh, you're a shipmate," because it's like you watch out for each other's back. I think that's just a great term. And having seen a couple of Navy ships up close, I can understand the concept of being close and watching out for each other's back. So at this point, Gus, and hello, Dan Sammer, we're going to turn this over to you to allow you to do the presentation. So I'm going to sit back and watch as you do your presentation, and I'll be watching for any questions anybody might have. So please take over control of the webinar, sir.
Okay. Well, to be honest with you, Matt, let me check in with you first. I'm of the mind that since Dan is our main participant here, let's just have a discussion. Any thoughts or reactions there?
I like that.
Okay.
Let me do this. Let me allow. Let's see where Dan is here. Allowed to talk. Hi, Dan.
Are you there, Matt?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
No, but we can hear you.
I can see you. It looks like Minecraft.
I am not able to see the video controller that I'm accustomed to.
Yeah, because this is a webinar. We set it up as a webinar.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, we had a large group and that. Well, we'll just try the webinar thing tonight. So
okay,
that's how it worked. We can hear you.
Okay.
I know what you look like.
Okay.
If Gus was to go to your LinkedIn profile, he would know what you look like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dan, it's nice to have the opportunity to talk with you. And again, I think, since it's just the three of us, let's just have a conversation.
Yeah, sure.
I actually, view you pretty highly. I think you're doing a fantastic job of networking on LinkedIn. And so obviously we're all doing virtual stuff nowadays. But you tell me, if you don't mind me putting you on this spot, what were you hoping to get out of the discussion today?
Honestly, I was hoping I like to get material for posts, and so I've met Matt many times, but was kind of hoping to learn a little bit about you and hopefully get a photo of you if you were up on the screen, and maybe with your permission, kind of say, hey, this is what I learned from your presentation. But that was my plan. And I would say obviously if more people jump on, then we can go back into webinar mode. That's fine with me. But I guess the hook for me was the introvert part of it, because I can certainly speak to people. I wouldn't say I'm an extreme introvert, but I tend a little bit more to be that way. And so I just wanted to see what strategies you recommend for introverts.
Great. So what I'm hearing from you, and if I'm misunderstanding, please correct me. I don't mind at all. But what I'm hearing from you is you actually are interested in me going through the presentation, and there's definitely some specific tips for introverts that we can spend some time on. So I'm happy to do that and dive right in. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, I think so. And then maybe at the end, I can say, here are the 3 things that I picked up, and maybe focus it a little bit. But go ahead.
Yeah, great. So I'm going to start sharing. And I've got a green box around my slides, so it looks like you can see. Is that correct?
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, great. So, since it's the three of us, I'm actually just going to skip this.
Okay.
And if we don't put you to sleep, Dan, if you stay around, you'll be able to get the after party pass.
Okay.
And so these were just some intended chat questions so we can stimulate discussion. If I were based off of you, I don't think you are. I think you're out there. You're looking for opportunities. So that's good. But tell me, what's stopping you from getting what you want?
Well, just for now, it's the just making a decision to get out of the military. Nobody's going to hire me until I'm not in the military anymore.
Right.
But I don't want to be out of the military and not have a job. So it's that tension between, letting go of the familiar and going for something different.
Okay. Yep. And obviously, given what's happened over the last couple of months, is weighing heavily on a lot of people's mind with respect to that transition. So understand completely. So I'll scan through these real quick. If you're in the right place, if there's a better future and you're just wondering how to create it, you're not a huge fan of networking and you're not sure where to start. And so some of the three big fears: number one, I'm uncomfortable putting myself out there. I obviously don't see that as an issue with you, at least not on LinkedIn.
Not on LinkedIn, and not where I know people. But if I go to a meeting or a networking event where I don't know anybody, it's a bit uncomfortable. I think for most people it is.
Okay, and we're gonna talk about some specific tips there. The other one is, you don't want to feel slimy. You don't. At least that's been my experience. Before I shifted my beliefs about networking, is that I saw people that lacked substance, and yet they were viewed highly by leadership, and that was because I attributed them as schmoozers, and so I equated that and networking when I shouldn't have. There's much more, much more to it than just that. And then just that feeling awkward piece. And so what I'm hearing from you a little bit is this might be playing into it a little bit. Any thoughts, reactions there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't feel smarmy. I don't feel, fake or false when I'm meeting new people at networking events, but I don't always have a smooth, I'm a kind of I live inside my own head a lot.
Yep.
And so it's hard to translate that into small talk, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Okay. And again, we'll dive a little deeper in that as well. And so let me just give you a rundown of my journey. So up until 5 years ago, I hated networking, and you may be wondering what this picture used to have to do with it. And I can't remember if it was a Saturday Night Live skit or SCTV, but there was Billy Crystal and some other guy where they were cops, and they'd say, "Oh, I hate it when that happens." And they talk about the stuff that they do. And so one of those was, "I hate it when I take a meat thermometer and jam it in my ear and take a sledge and pound it. Well, that was me with respect to networking.
Yeah.
And so
I remember that skit, actually.
So my old belief was that work ethic and quality were enough.
Yep.
And after 10 years with a large consulting company, they restructured, they moved the deck chairs around, and I found myself on a different team. And after, due to my own, no fault to my own, I jumped from one project to the next, or was trying to, and learned that my clearance wasn't valid anymore. It had lapsed. And so there I found myself, I was unemployed.
Yep.
And I just knew that the job search lottery was ineffective, and I had to start networking. And at first I stumbled, I was under pressure, and I just wasn't at ease. And so eventually, 5 months later, it was through networking that I learned of a company that had a hiring fair, and just so happens the next day they won work and released opportunities for strategic planning, and I applied, and because I had built those relationships, I did get hired. And so bottom line there is I never want to let that happen to my family again. And so I consistently work at growing and maintaining my network. And as a result, rather than me feeling like I have to be in pursuit of opportunities, now opportunities are actually starting to come to me.
Yep.
And so what I want to highlight is just two simple dimensions on what I call the career success framework. And so the first dimension being how clear is your career mission statement? And then the second one being what's your network's ability to help? And so if we take those two dimensions and we take our network's ability as our x-axis, our clarity and our career mission statement as our y-axis, I was in that patient performer. So I knew what I was doing. I knew where I wanted to take my career. I just didn't have that network ability to help me. And so I was reliant on my leadership and my management to take care of me. And then there's others where if they have a strong network and yet maybe, and we've seen this a lot from those that are transitioning from the military, well, I want to be operations manager, or I want to be a HR leader, or I want to be security, or I can do all three of those. Well, because you're not clear in what you want, it's going to be hard for people to understand what you want, and therefore you're not going to be able to get those introductions and those opportunities because you're not clear.
Yep.
And so
I struggled with that initially. Yeah, like, what do I want to do?
Yep. And so real quickly, I'm sorry, did you have a question or comment, Dan?
No.
Okay. So just some limiting beliefs. I think we've interacted on LinkedIn. Time is a big one. Again, what I'm hearing from you is number 2 is invalid for you. So that's great.
No. Yeah, that's not, I don't feel that way.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 is not valid.
I would say
maybe
I would qualify
6. I don't know.
Yeah, 4 would be I feel awkward in person. I don't feel awkward online as much.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more of these jumping out at you?
Number 1, yeah, definitely. Number 4, and actually number 7 and 8 a little bit. Number 8 relates to number 1. You can only take care of a big network well if you're doing it full time, which is not, nobody has time for that. And
sure.
Then, yeah, number 7, I kind of back away from people a lot, and Matt probably has seen this, but I'll establish a connection with somebody, and then when they want to deepen that relationship, I'll kind of back away, and I'm not sure why I do that, but I think it's probably because I'm reluctant to trust other people completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got another person on the line here.
Okay.
Hi, Lauren. Hang on a second.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for letting me know.
It's
Matt.
my job.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can get my mouse to work.
All right. So welcome, Lauren. We're making this informal. And so if you have comments or questions as we go, I believe Matt's going to be giving you the opportunity to speak as well. So let's see.
I put her so you can talk now, Lauren. So look at the mic. I'm also watching. Okay, thank you. My daughter is in the background. She is 4. Yes, and we've met your daughter, and she's a sweet kid. And
okay.
and Gus has got the wonder dogs that'll lick her to death.
That's right. All right. So we were just talking about the career success framework, 2 dimensions along those. And Lauren, my contact information is at the end. And Dan, the same offer goes to you as well. If you
Okay.
want to send me a note afterwards or connect with me on LinkedIn, and Dan, we're obviously already connected. I'm happy to share these slides with you and then answer any follow-up questions that you may have.
Okay.
But 4 components that I found as far as becoming a strategic achiever. So number 1, it's that clarity and focus about what you want to do with your career. I know that's easier said than done. Then the second one is, as you know where you want to take your career, examining your existing network to see if there's anybody there that can help you, and then expanding and growing your network. One distinction here that I think is critical is your existing network may view you in one particular way, and you know that you're so much more than that, and yet it may be difficult for you to rebrand yourself with that existing network. And so that's why expanding your network is so critical to become that strategic achiever, because when you're meeting new people, they don't know your history. They don't know everything that's going on. So if you are performing things differently, you are doing new things or different things, your new network will pick up on that. And then I think one of the common challenges is people, especially introverts, will sometimes have difficulty asking for help. So we're going to blaze through here. Again, I'm going to share these slides with you. This one is important, so I will pause here for a minute. But oftentimes, for your career mission statement, look at who you want to help. And if you're struggling with that question, think about what are the types of problems that you want to solve, and then who typically has those, or what organizations typically have those problems, and where will you best be matched to help them accomplish those. What skills will you use? And then ultimately, what benefits will they receive as a result of working with you? And, you know, I wish I could say that, you know, if this is the main thing that you want to work on, you're going to take 15 minutes after this webinar and then you've got it down perfect. That's not the case. It requires reflection. It requires talking with others, seeing what's out there, thinking about what you have. But the key thing here is to get started and to reflect and talk with others, figure out what the universe is saying, and then you can go forward from there. Let's see here. My time is covered up here.
I got the time. You're good on time. Keep going.
Sure. Okay. So again, I'm going to blaze through some of these. So, you know, take a look at, and the key here with networking, when you're both strengthening your existing network and expanding, when we talk about that, is I want you to be selfish in your strategy and selfless in your personal interactions. So, you know, think about, I really want to achieve this, and in order for me to achieve this, these are the type of people that I want to meet, and then go off and get them. Now recognize you're not going to be able to accomplish that in a week. So that's where the selfless interactions come in, and it does take time, but think of it as gardening and planting the seeds, grooming, and, you know, building those relationships. And so, let's see here. Oh, there, I said it already. So be selfish in your strategy, selfless in your interactions. So it's about discovering what they value. It's also, you know, putting in systems in place. And I've got some content around here. So again, I'm happy to share that more in-depth content here in a little bit. So Dan, I'm going to spend some time here when we are in a position, when we are able to resume our in-person networking. And I heard you say that you're comfortable being yourself. So, but this is a foot stomper. You don't have to be someone else, and you don't have to be pushy. What I have found to really help me is having 3 questions that I want to ask. And these are simple, just relationship building questions, so that if there is a little awkward silence, I know that I can have a question and ask them. My favorite is, you know, what are you excited about? It gives people the opportunity to take it any direction that they want to. And as a result, they will, you know, whether they want to talk about an upcoming trip or, you know, their daughter's birthday or, you know, something on work, they can take that wherever they want.
Can I interject here? I want to know this. I want to know the answer to this question, Gus.
Yeah.
What are you binge watching?
So we just finished Tiger King.
Okay.
Has anyone? I know that's a lot of people have. A lot of people are watching that. Has anybody else seen that?
No.
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 It's a train wreck. I'll be honest with you, but you know, once you start watching the guy, it's really interesting. Let's see. We're just watching. I guess Killing Eve is going to be coming up soon, so we're watching the second season just to freshen that up. And then I know, Matt, we've already connected on this. I know you're a Bosch fan. It's coming out soon, isn't it?
I've read all his books. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
What about you, Dan? Where was your favorite vacation?
You know, we haven't taken a real vacation in a while, but the one that we took a few years ago was, we just stayed here. We went to the JW Marriott here in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Which is really expensive, but really nice, and just had a great time. So that's my answer. Not very exciting, but it was fun.
How about you, Lauren? What are you binge watching these days?
I haven't really been binge watching anything. I don't know why you can't see my screen, by the way. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I have not been binge watching anything really. I've been trying to update my LinkedIn at night and get a jump start on trying to get a job. So that's what I've been doing.
So that's what you're excited about, is getting that job.
I am, and I'm growing my network on LinkedIn. It's so cool. I love it.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Sorry I did just break in there, Gus.
No apologies necessary. That's very, very informal. I love the interaction. You'll notice that I am going through these kind of quickly because I want to make sure that there's time for you to share your materials. Another one of the common stumbling blocks is people get hung up on what they want to say when they're asked, so what do you do? Well, that career mission statement that we talked about earlier is a great way to respond to that. So for example, I can share with you two of mine. Obviously, in this capacity, on my side gig, I'm helping introverts gain comfort with networking. So it gives you a crystal clear picture about who I help and how it is that I help them. And then you don't want to drag it out too long because then you lose that engagement. And it gives people the opportunity to ask you questions. Oh, well, what do you mean by that? And so, for example, if I use my 9-to-5 elevator pitch or career mission statement, it would be, I help federal government clients gain commitment to execute and implement changes that they need or want for their organization. And so by leaving it a little bit vague, it allows people to say, well, what do you mean by that? If they're asking good questions. Let's see, what else? So here's the big tip for you. I personally hate it because I'm a listener. If there are two people talking, I don't want to interrupt them. But if there's a group of three, I actually don't mind interrupting them as much because I know that one of those people is going to be less engaged in the discussion and that person will naturally peel off. So here's what that looks like. So I'll go up to the group of three, say, hey, everybody, pardon the interruption, just wanted to check in, introduce myself, and then go around and make those introductions. And then I'll ask, so I recognize, I was interrupting, what were you guys talking about? And then that's when those two people that were mostly connected will continue. And then that third person will drop off. So this really specific tip, I've just found very, very valuable, and to be honest, still use it to this day. Obviously, we want to be focused in where we want to expand our network. So we're looking for professional and industry associations. where if we're in the military or have that military affiliation, we're looking for the military veterans connections. We're looking for shared hobbies. We're looking for our alma mater. And we're also building on our existing network. We're asking them for introductions. And so this you'll see here coming up when I talk about the ask, and I'll just hit it now, is that you share your interest. So I'm interested in meeting these type of people. And then you follow it with an open question. Who do you think would value getting to know me? Who do you think I should know that may be able to help me? And so by asking that open-ended question, you're asking the person to think. So use that open-ended question and not the closed-ended question. If you say, do you know, people will typically default to no because they don't want to go through the effort and give it that thought. And so I just already discussed this. And so again, I know I kind of blazed through this. Dan, was this helpful? And Lauren, I'd like to turn it over to you to understand, if you don't mind, before we turn it over to you, Matt, what Lauren was hoping to get out of this discussion.
I am really, at this point, trying to really learn how to best network myself, how to use LinkedIn. I'm new to LinkedIn, and Matt was able to help me with a lot of things on it recently. So he's the one that recommended this webinar. So really, I need to find a job that's going to work for my life right now, and long-term making these connections, especially connections with people who work with veterans and their families, because that's eventually what I want to do. I want to make a big impact on as many people's lives as I possibly can, and I'm not going to be able to do that if I don't learn how to network. So, yeah.
Okay. How about you, Dan? What questions are left out there for you?
No, it's a great approach. I have difficulty being that formulaic or that deliberate. When I speak to people, I kind of like to let the conversation go wherever it goes. So my interactions tend to be a little bit more random than you've described. So it's just maybe being intentional about, reading the cues that people have. And I guess one thing about networking that I had to get used to was it's totally fine at a peer networking event to just move from one person to another, and that's very awkward for me, to just kind of say, hey, well, good talking to you, because you wouldn't do that in a normal interaction, but you have to kind of. And one thing I like to do is when I see somebody brand new and I know that they're really, really uncomfortable, I'll go up to them and I'll say, hey, I'm Dan, and this is how it works. And so it puts me at ease to explain to other people what to expect. And I find that there's always a handful of people that you can just tell they have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah. That makes me think of a brief story here. There was somebody I had interacted with on LinkedIn. They were in the DC area, obviously that's where I am. And, they were, I think, looking for a new role, and were in transition, or maybe, I can't remember the specifics. And so I met them, and they must have just been extremely, extremely introverted, or extremely, extremely guarded, because I met them face to face. And then when I was trying to engage them and ask them questions, I was getting, one-word answers. I just wasn't valuing the discussion. I thought I could really help the person, but it was literally, I feel like I had finished 18 years of dentistry school, because I was really pulling teeth, and so I just had to say, if you'll excuse me, I just need to go grab another drink, because you can't help everybody and you can't engage with everybody. And so if you're not feeling it, just excuse yourself from the discussion. There's no commitments at a networking event. And as long as you're polite and kind, again, just excuse yourself. You're not going to have that natural connection with everyone. So Any thoughts, reactions there, Dan?
No, I think that's right. Also, you mentioned something there. I think it's a little bit off your point, but I felt a lot more comfortable at networking events when I realized that I guess I just focused on really getting to know maybe 3 people or 4 instead of trying to talk to every single person in the room. That's useless.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So I think from that perspective, well, 2 scenarios. And Matt, please chime in. I don't want to monopolize the time. I'd love to hear your experience as well.
I'm being a good host. If I had something to say, I'll say it.
Okay.
Dan and I know each other really well, and I recognize that Dan's seen some of these slides before, and so, but Lauren hasn't. So I'm waiting for my turn. I'm being patient. It's like, okay.
Well, how about I answer this question, then we'll turn it over to you. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 situations there. Well, let me see. I might have lost my thought. I think I did lose my thought. Dan, can you state your question again?
Yeah, I just mentioned how I no longer worry about not meeting every single person in the room.
Yep. Yeah. So 2 situations there. Number 1 is if sometimes Eventbrite or other events, they'll actually list all the attendees. So if you're able to see that in advance and you know who's going to be there, and there is somebody of interest that you do want to meet, sure, absolutely, try to make your way over there and mingle with them. But typically, as long as the event has the right group of people, I'm not worried about, well, I need to meet 15 people. I'm with you. I'd much rather have engaging discussions with 4 or 5 people than trying to meet everybody in the room, because you're going to have much more substance. I can imagine you've all seen it where there's the person who their objective is to empty their pocket with all their business cards because they think that's going to work for them. And so they're, hey, I'm in sales and I'm selling financial services. Nice to meet you. And here's my card. Like, whoa, we just started talking here. So those are the 2 different scenarios that I had in mind. And really, actually, I said I would share my contact information.
Please.
And so here it is. And don't worry about the QR code, because I've got in the chat is the link that takes you to the QR code. But by all means, Lauren, if you want to connect on LinkedIn, if there's other questions, I do hear you that you're looking for your next role, especially the times that we're in now. And so these are all free resources if you need additional support for your networking. And if there's other questions that I can answer for you, don't be a stranger. And so
I won't. And I actually have a quick question for you now, if that's okay.
Please.
Yep.
Okay. So I've gone to school online for like 5 years now. I'm in the middle of getting my master's. I'm at home with my daughter. My husband was at home with her as well because he's a disabled veteran. So I spend a lot of time at home. I used to be very outgoing, very extroverted. And I find myself now, I either have like mommy brain when I'm not able to like focus, or just meeting people in general. I feel like I am so awkward and I feel like I'm just out of touch with the game. So being able to do this on LinkedIn has been great, and doing video stuff, because I'm just like, I'm with it, I'm there, but I'm a little nervous as to what I'm going to do if I go to like a networking event or something and I'm surrounded by people and I get tongue twisted or, tongue tied. So do you have any advice for me as to best how to like get back out there, I guess?
Sure, absolutely. Are you familiar with growth mindset versus fixed mindset?
A little bit.
Okay, so have the growth mindset. And what I mean by that is treat your next in-person networking event as a learning experience.
Okay.
Not going to be perfect. Okay, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Recognize that, when you share your elevator pitch, it may not come out as smoothly as you like, but you're just there to really build relationships. And so one of the other specific tips is by asking questions of others and putting the emphasis on them, if they're doing a majority of the talking, they're going to view the discussion as going really well. And so as a result of that, they're going to hold you in high regards. And so that's going to increase the likelihood of you having a follow-up discussion with them. And they're going to see you as a natural good person. So actually just by repeating back what they said, showing that you're listening, you're building that relationship and asking them maybe a question that's a little bit deeper. And again, this can be small talk. So what was it about Italy that you love the most? And what did you wish you could bring back to the States that you weren't able to? And just, again, just anything that interests you, take it. And you're looking for things in common. And so if somebody does have something in common, it's okay to interrupt them at that point and say, oh, that's fantastic. I'm sorry for interrupting. We've got a connection there. Please go ahead and share more. And then they may naturally just turn it over to you and you to share. I was on a call with somebody and he mentioned PM Pro Learn. I was like, whoa, PM Pro Learn. I'm maybe setting something up to do with them. Are you working with this person? And they say, yeah, I love that person. And so we've already established that commonality. We've got that connection and we can move forward from there. So be a detective and try to find what you have in common with people. Thoughts, comments?
I like that a lot. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, you're welcome. Matt, I've taken up too much time. I'd love to turn it over to you.
Gus, I know how to run a meeting, okay? I felt like you provide tremendous value, and I hope that both of you will let others know so that if we do this again, because everything that Gus is sharing comes from the heart. He is a natural introvert that tries to be an extrovert. I have the same issue. The only thing I'm going to add, and I was just at the end of this, was to talk about how do you connect with people online in terms of notes. We kind of talked about it. I'm going to jump ahead because we've already established a couple things in Gus's talk. So if I could take control of the screen, share screen. Give me 1 second while I get this ready. I just want to show, let's go right here and let's talk about this, which is that 1 year free membership from LinkedIn Premium. If you know how to get that, please avail yourself to that. The other thing that I find a lot of people when they connect is they often forget to hit the more button on the mobile device, because I get a lot of LinkedIn requests from people, but I don't have the notes. So if you hit the more button like I'm showing you here, and then you go down to here, then you can write that custom note. Right, Gus?
Absolutely.
And here are 4 nice generic LinkedIn connection notes. I have to be honest with you, I think out of the several thousand I've wanted to connect with, I've only been rejected by 2 people. And there was no loss on my end. So this is like when you meet someone at an event, this is after the pandemic, Lauren, when you're out networking and you take that business card and you have a really earnest conversation, then tie it back to what you talked about so they remember you.
I like that.
When someone suggests you connect with them, tie it into them and then suggest, what they said about how you can be of help to them. This is when you see a post on something you read about. I know you're interested in disabled veterans and you're working on your social work degree. So if you found something on that, you could write them a note like this.
Oh yeah, that would be another good way to do that.
Yeah. And then this is another note that our mutual friend Herb Thompson suggested when we did this workshop. We said, hey, that's a good note. I got to keep this. These are all successful notes. So the note is important. The problem on LinkedIn mobile is such that you cannot always remember to hit those 3 dots, that more button. So make it a habit to do that. When I'm coaching someone, I say, let's connect. Oh, hit connect. No, stop. Slow down. Hit the more button. and then write me a note. Even just, hi, Matt, nice meeting you. Just get into the habit of writing a note and use all 300 characters, okay? You only get 300 characters. You cannot send your whole life story or history to them. If you really feel like you need something longer, you can use the connection email together, which is usually available with the premium feature. And of course, that well-defined purpose will help you define your reason for connecting with someone else. And that's it. Everybody, you're all great friends. I wish you well. You know that I'm here for you, and you know that my friend Gus is here for you. If there's not any other questions, I'm going to sign off in a minute or two, but I hope you learned something tonight. Comments?
Yeah, I have a comment, Matt.
Yes.
Yeah, one something I learned from my ACP mentor, and I'm speaking to Lauren. Whatever it is you want to do, go to a networking event that has absolutely nothing to do with that, and just show up, and just, like, throw yourself into the middle of a group of people you have nothing in common with, and you'll probably never meet again, and just practice. I did that once, and it was actually a lot of fun. Just a suggestion.
That's a really good suggestion. That automatically gives me like great anxiety, but it also sounds like a lot of fun. So it's just something I'm going to have to just like rip the Band-Aid off and just come back into the world, really. So yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Dan, you get a gold star for that comment there. Okay.
Okay.
So Lauren, do you remember the first time you actually got behind the wheel of a car and drove it for the first time?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that experience? How many different thoughts did you have going through your head?
Oh my gosh, a lot. It was an old farm truck. I was like 12, so it had a lot of gears, and I still don't know how to drive standard very well, but
okay.
I'm scared.
Okay. How about when you transitioned to something that was on the road and you were driving that? Any similar concerns? And maybe it was an automatic.
Yeah, it gets easier as you make yourself do it.
Okay. Has that applied anywhere else in your life?
Absolutely. LinkedIn. I'm telling you, I felt awkward at first sending people messages, and I've grown my network so much just in a very short period of time. And I've messaged every single person. If I didn't message the person right away when I connected with them and they automatically accepted me, I went back and sent them a message, even if it was just like, hi, how are you? Especially with this pandemic going on. So people have been, hey, thanks for checking on me. I'm good. Are you guys safe? How are you doing? And so it's been great. And I've had a lot of people just say, what can I help you with? I'm like, actually, yes, I do need help right now. I'm looking for a job. This is what I'm looking for. Can you look at my resume? So I ripped the Band-Aid off on that one, and it's getting easier and easier to have these conversations with people. And then I've even had people give me their cell phone number and their personal email address to, connect and ask questions whenever I need to. So I'm actually quite really amazed at all of it. It's been amazing.
And so how does that relate to in-person networking?
I'm just going to have to, again, rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to have to do it. Get back in there and just kind of apply the same thing. Like, is it Dan? Like Dan was saying, that you're not going to meet these people again unless you have a connection. And then obviously you would, see them again. But there's no point in worrying so much about what other people are thinking. If I am tongue-tied or whatever, I could just say, I've been at home for however many years. This is why. So if I'm awkward, it's just what it's going to have to be. But I think I'll be okay. I think I put too much emphasis on it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. Okay. Other questions or anything else out there?
Gus, thank you for joining us from Virginia. Lauren, Dan, always a pleasure to talk to you as well. This is Matt Scher. This is good night to you all. Wishing you a pleasant evening and hope to talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Thank you so much for everyone's time. Thank you.
All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Gus.
Good night.